Boom! What is up, Waves Capital? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to talk to you guys about my upside price targets for our 3 favorite Metaverse cryptocurrencies over the month of August. All right, we are going to be sticking strictly to the charts today, keeping things technical. We'll kick it off with our number 1 seed of 2022, Render token. Move on to good old Sandbox, and then close it out with arguably the one that kicked it all off, Decentraland. Okay, so before we dive into the charts, once again, rationalize some of the upside price targets you guys see in front of you. I do want to read the quick piece I wrote on Render in my recent newsletter, just to sum things up real quick, and then of course we will expand on these thoughts as we dive into the charts. So let's zoom in here. Good old Render token with a bang. Like many of our other gems, I think Render has found its bottom, given the sideways price action it's seen over the recent months. This is super short and sweet, you guys. I think the crypto market is about to see a nice reawakening, and I think Render will reclaim $1 over the month of August. And again, I will justify that, or do my best to justify that over the course of this video, okay? So before we get into it though, if you guys want one of these bad boys in your email inbox every single trading day, this is my price targets newsletter. This is only one of the few newsletters I send out every single day, along with a trade alert and a macro analysis. This was Thursday's newsletter, just for example. Okay, so we got the S&P, SoFi, Coinbase, Riot, Bitcoin, Render. You guys, this is every day. If you guys want daily updates on what I think about some of our favorite plays in the market, if you guys want to know how I trade on a day-to-day basis, I'm so pumped going into the month of August, not just for cryptocurrencies, but for stocks, for the equity markets, for growth stocks particularly, and very particular growth stocks. If you guys are part of the portfolio newsletter team, the winning team right there, then you'd already know. But if you guys want to join, if you want to join Waves Capital, that is going to be $15 a month, $40 for every 3 months. It's completely up to you. You get everything that you see written down right here, and I just explained. So join the winning team if you want to. Once again, that's the first link down in the description box below. And if not, no worries at all. That is your loss, but I appreciate you watching this video still. Okay, so let's dive into Render. Render at this moment in time, as I just said in this bad boy, right? We have seen sideways price action, not only in Render, but in many not just cryptocurrencies, but growth assets as well. And historically, coming from a guy who's played a lot of these boom bust cycles over the course of my career, really that's how I've built my career, and the far majority of my net worth now is by capitalizing on these bull bear market cycles. Once you see the decline in volume, the sideways price action following a massive liquidation, I mean, I guess this works both ways, but in the case of the recent in recent months, we saw some massive sell-offs followed by, again, that decline, that almost plateau in volume at the very low end of the spectrum, and sideways price action. Of course, you guys can see that there is some volatility in this mix. There is some trade potential. But if you're comparing this to what we saw, I mean, if you guys just zoom out, which we'll do right now prior to getting short term, and of course, this is what pretty much every other name in this sector looks like right here. Boom bust cycle, right? We are reaching the winter phase, and we've known this for months, right? We are in the crypto winter phase. We're in what the bulls would say, the long-term holders would say, is the accumulation phase. And if you guys have been accumulating like I have, then I do think it'll pay off, because I do think that over the rest of the year, over the fall, winter months, as we close out the summer even, we could really start to see things wake back up. Now, right off the bat, do I think we're going to see new all-time highs in these tokens by the end of the year? Absolutely not. I don't. And I want to make that very, very clear. The same applies for Bitcoin miners, crypto equities, even growth stocks that we've covered here in the past and continue to cover, and that I continue to be bullish on. Okay? This is way overinflated, but this, where we've been over the past couple of months, I would argue is oversold. Okay? So, reversion to the mean, something I've been saying a lot, not only in the videos, but especially in the newsletters. We need to revert to the means, okay? We need to find that comfortable medium. If you're on either end of the spectrum, that's an unhealthy and unsustainable place to be. So we have some mean reversion to accomplish. Considering we're so low and so oversold, that mean reversion does lend itself to favor the upside. And once again, I do think August will be a great month for these cryptocurrencies, especially I mean, even relative to where we are now after this bounce from the bottom. So when it comes to short-term price action, let's zoom back into where we kicked off the video and talk short-term. Kick it off with this white symmetrical triangle. And this typically, when you see a symmetrical triangle forming, that typically means, or statistically, I guess, it will resolve itself in the direction of the overall trend. Right now, this trend is obviously down. But over the course of the past couple of months, I've seen a lot of these symmetrical triangles following some big sell-offs. And pretty much every time, I would say just ballpark, 70 to 80% of the time, 75% of the time, these have resolved themselves to the upside. So I do think render is likely to resolve itself to the upside. We'll just throw this out right now, move my big fat head. TradingView, good old TradingView bull meter is saying a buy. And of course, I don't put a whole lot of weight on this at all. But if I have a general thesis, this is always the cherry on top right here, okay? And I'm not only technically bullish on render, you guys know why I'm fundamentally bullish on render if you've been watching any of the render content over recent months, okay? So anyway, I do think this will resolve itself to the upside. I do think that render can make its way back up to $1 eventually, maybe by the end of the month. The price targets I have set here, and that this will hold. This is kind of my general region for all three of the charts we'll be looking at today: render, sand, and mana, and that is mid-August, okay? But keep in mind, you guys, these price targets, in the case that they do test these trend lines, are ultimately dependent, entirely dependent upon when these trend lines are tested, okay? So, of course, you guys stretch out these trend lines. You stretch this out, the price is going to go up, given whether render hits this tomorrow or whether render hits it at the end of the month on August. Closing out the month of August, moving to September, the price is going to be completely different depending on when the trend line is tested. Okay, so completely speculative, but I would be surprised in the slightest to see this. I do think that render could come up, test this previous line of support over here on that last leg down, while also testing previous shorter term support, which is this yellow line, okay? Medium term, cyan line, shorter term is this yellow line right here. And I do think that this line right here, which has been proven against support, retested as resistance following this breakout in the case that we do see a nice run up. And of course, remember, the price action and the well-being of the cryptocurrency market overall is pretty heavily dependent on the well-being of Bitcoin and the equity markets as well, which right now I am bullish on. So again, Bitcoin does good, the S&P 500 does good, then that means that growth stocks and especially small cap cryptocurrencies like these three will perform exponentially well, okay? Money's flowing back. The big dogs are getting back into the game. That is what the stats are saying. So much capital that's been on the sidelines is ready to reinvest in the market. Finally, now that a lot of the fear and macroeconomic worries have dissipated for good reason. Again, we're not going to get into the macros now, but they have. And once again, if you're part of the newsletter, you would know why that is. So feeling bullish. I do think it's possible, optimistic, but wouldn't surprise me in the slightest for render to come up here. Once again, in the case that render does test the intersection of these two short and medium term trend lines at the same time, August 12th is where they intersect, and that would take us up 60% from current levels at 60 cents to just under $1 at about 97 cents. Okay, so again, you guys, this is just my opinion, but know that I am loaded up with a lot of render, all three of these, but an exceptional amount of render. And I'm excited to see what happens over the month of August for a lot of our favorite cryptos and growth stock positions. Moving on to Sandbox, and we'll close it out with Mon. I keep these short and sweet because everything I just said about render holds pretty much the same sentiment for Sand and Mon. So Sand has been performing exceptionally well relative to these other two, I would say, and seeing some great volume as well. Like volume right now, we're seeing almost 7 mil in volume over the past 24 hours relative to Sand's average volume of 3.5, which still isn't quite up to par with Mana in terms of volume, but it's some damn impressive volume. Okay, so Sand, again, similar thing right here. I do think that Sand can come up to retest the previous low, just the macro low right here on the previous leg down of that big sell-off, which would take us up almost 40% from current levels at $1.35 to about $1.85. Okay, now Sand, if things really pick up, I do think Sand can pick up as well, just because it has been showing a lot of strength. My overall upside price target, which I actually will go back to render and talk to you guys about my overall price target because I forgot to do that. My overall, or I shouldn't say overall price target. If you're talking about overall, if I'm talking about years from now, I do think all of these will easily climb back into double digits over the course of the next cycle. Come on. But let's talk fall. Let's talk over fall. The over fall targets. I do think sand can make its way up to test this area that did act as a pretty significant level of support around $2.60 over the course of just the sell-offs, the 2021 sell-offs, the great sell-offs of 2021. I do think 260 could come into play, and that would lend itself to almost a 2x from current levels for sand. But short term, I do think this will come into play. I think this will act as a significant ceiling. That's at about $1.85. Okay, so back to render, then we'll close it out with Decentraland. So render, my overall target for render is up here at about $1.60, kind of similar to sand, but of course, because render is well below, so both sand and mana, if you zoom out like this, are about 80 to 85% below their all-time highs we saw in November. Even after render's bounce over the past couple of months, I guess now, render is still down. Where we're sitting now at 60 cents is still down 93% from its all-time high that we saw in November. So again, I'm bullish on sand and mana, but as we said in the beginning, when it comes to mean reversion, when it comes to finding that median ground, you render just because it's corrected so much more, because it has a smaller market cap. And again, the smaller the market cap, the less capital inflow it takes to appreciate the individual share price or token price. These lend me to be very, very bullish on render. Okay, so when it comes to my overall overfall target for render, I do think it's very possible for us to come back up to about $1.60 because that did act. You can see a double top over here in August and September. This has acted as a very significant ceiling for render in the past. Once we broke above, you see a little break above that, but once we actually closed above that, like 160, 170 level, that is when we went absolutely parabolic. So I do think that we can make it back up there. I do think that this is the mean, and we'll probably trade in a range between, you know, like $1.20 and $1.60 for quite a while. But I do think that as optimism floods back into the markets, as capital begins to redeploy itself, not itself, but, you know, like large funds and investment funds, and venture funds, whatever, A16Z, good old A16Z's crypto fund. And I know they like render. Chamath Palihapitiya was the one who initially turned me on to render, and he's one of the godfathers of venture and angels and SPACs and whatnot. So all that said, I think it's possible for render to see $1.60 over the course of the fall heading into the winter months, and that would take us up well over 2x, almost 3x to $1.60 or 165%. Okay, so that's render. Let's close it out with mana. Can keep this one quick. Mana did break. This is a great example right here of a symmetrical triangle that broke out to the upside. Broke. We'll call that medium term because it dates back a few months. Medium term resistance came up, saw a nice rally, came back down, almost retested that previous resistance as new support, but did end up testing the support anyway on that same symmetrical triangle. And now we are heading back up. And as you can see here, you guys, again, this is a good sign of when the selling is likely over, and that is this range trading. So again, with mana, we have spent so much time around this, 90, what is it, like 80 to 90 cent level, just general range, 80 to 90 cent range for so long. And that's just a good sign, just anecdote, or just commonsensically, I should say, that the sell pressure, there's not nearly as much sell pressure as there was, once again, over the beginning of this year. So didn't mean to do that. Send that back up there. But zoom out on mana. I do think it's very possible for mana to come up and retest again previous ceiling over here. In actually April, May of 2021, a lot of resistance over in this region, about $1.50, and that falls pretty well in line with, again, render, sand, and good old mana around that $1.60 to $2 region. So in the case that mana does see that, that's my initial target, and I do think it's possible for mana to come up to $1.70, and of course higher. Just follow very similar principles to these two. But point is, you guys, I'm bullish over the month of August, and I'm very, very excited and very glad, and hopefully glad for you guys, because I trust a lot of you guys were accumulating a lot of these tokens over the course of this correction. And again, you guys, if you're still standing, if you were able to weather this storm, if you didn't over leverage yourself and you didn't get liquidated, and you got the cojones, you got the stomach to handle a lot of the downside that we've seen, then you deserve to be here, and you deserve to be financially better off than everyone who got scared out of the markets, because this is not an easy game. It's not easy to just hold, especially when there's inflation, when you need more liquid, you need more US dollars just to fuel your everyday life. It's not easy. So if you're still here, respect. And I'm excited for what the future has in store for Waves Capital. All right, once again, if you want to join Waves Cap, if you want to join the winning team, first link down below. And also let me know in the comments down below as well if you guys are excited about the month of August as I am. And of course, let me know not only as far as cryptocurrencies are concerned, but stocks as well, what you're excited about. And I look forward to talking shop with you guys in the comments downstairs. Until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace, team.